There are a lot of folks who can go decades in a crappy relationship.
Mhm.
I'm sure that those listening, you all, myself, we can all think about those people, right? Where you have a relationship, you know, the relationship's not really working, but you want to stay together more than you want to um, part. So, was there a moment when you all thought, hmm, if we want, like, we're going to have to do some work here?
We've always been intentional about our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When Glenn and I first started dating, he brought up the need for a mentor couple and having someone that we would um, go to in order to talk through things that came up in our relationship. Um, though, I don't know. I guess that's more of a unit work, but not individual work.
I think it was me. I think you were seeing in me.
Huh?
I think you were looking at me like you need therapy.
Yeah. So I would say that like it took me a long time to see my own issues. I felt like it was like him and he needed to get some stuff done. Um, but it's really crazy to say this out loud.
Okay, here
I'm
we
about to
go.
say
It's
it
a
out
moment.
loud. But I feel like it was when when my fourth child was born. Would
Okay.
you agree? I I've always been someone that's like self-reflective and thinking through things and working on things. But I think after my son was born, I realized that I needed help doing that, like processing who I was becoming, who I was, what I was dealing with at the time. Um, so a little bit about our story. Glenn was a primary stay-at-home parent of our oldest two sons. And then when my daughter was born in 2017, I quit my job of teaching and came home to be the primary stay-at-home parent and homeschooling mom. And then 2 years after that, right? 2 years after that, 2019, I gave birth to our son. So in that 2 year time period, I quit a job that I had aspired to my entire life. Like I had set a goal, I was going to become a teacher, ASB director. I was on my way to all the things that I wanted to become. And then I quit that. And then I became a stay-at-home mom. And it's like it's a beautiful job. It's a beautiful honor to be able to have that position. And also it's a thankless job. It's something that you don't really get like accolades for when you're doing it. And so I think between like all the hormones and the transition home within that 2 year period, um, my identity started to get all like I just didn't know who I was, what I was doing, why I was doing it. And so I realized that I was having thoughts that were unhealthy and that I needed someone to process those with. And then our marriage was also having its challenges as well. And I was like, I'm working on this thing, but it seemed like he wasn't able to see the effort I was putting in. Um, and so I was just like, I need help. So I feel like it was in 2019 when I started therapy. And it was just a bunch of stuff that transitions that happened in a 2 year period from quitting my job to becoming a stay-at-home mom, but not just staying home, homeschooling, and then adding two more kids into the mix. And we were achieving a lot of success at that time, trying to maintain our marriage and being a public figure. It was a lot.
That is a lot.
It is a lot. And so I think it was then that I finally was like, I gotta do something. I need help. I can't do this by myself.
Yeah. And I think for me, she was going to therapy and then she convinced us to go to couples therapy. I went there and I was reluctant. I did not want to go.
I mean, I can hear it in the way you're describing it.
Well, the thing is, one, I didn't know if I had the time to do the work. It was because I knew I was
Yeah.
jacked up. I'm like, I don't know. Like my mom calls and I'm like, my heart's beating fast and I'm breathing shallow. I'm jacked up. I know I got issues. I just don't know if I have time to solve them. before the time runs out to this thing that we have going on. So I'm like, let me just focus on this thing and I'll get to that later. So she was like, well, let's go to couples therapy. And I was kind of like, yeah, let's, because she was getting on my nerves. You know what I'm saying? So then,
we need an audience.
I know
I call you out.
I know I got issues, but we got mad issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, let's go. And I'm like, well, let's go. So then we go and we start to see a little bit of things about ourselves. And we're like, okay, I see that. But my therapist, me and him became so like I liked him so much. I was like, I'll probably rock with him one-on-one. And so we did that. He gave us a new therapist. And so I started working with my therapist one-on-one. And we got busy quick. Like it was a lot of deep work. And still is, like, residual, but it was evident to me that, you know, I had started to put my own self in a category of like I wasn't even a part of my family. I only existed for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't a part of the benefits that I did. I was working for them, not working with them. And so it got kind of wild then. Yeah.
I think that's a common concern for fathers and husbands, is that and from what I've heard in the men, and I do interview a lot of men on this podcast, and I think a lot of it is whether it's a position that a man puts himself into by himself, or kind of the relationship puts him there, where it's like, what am I here for? I'm just here to do things. Yeah. I'm just here to do things, to be this figure for my family. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of room on the platform of a family for the man to also kind of participate in what it is that's happening. And I hear that a lot. I don't think it's true most of the time. I think it's really kind of the way we step into a relationship and what our expectations are and what we come to believe the other person's expectations are, for each person. But that is something that I hear quite a bit.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say that I don't know how I got there, but it was like, I think that there was just a point in our marriage where I had told Yvette, I was like, look, things are about to change. Like, you've been the leader of our relationship for a long time. And I'm sorry, but this has to change. You know what I'm saying? This is going to change. Especially when she decided to come home, I just was like, things going to have to shift and I have to become someone different. And so she was hearing me, but I don't think she believed me. And then who I was becoming probably was a little bit frustrating because I didn't have a lot of tact or care in my words. I just was like, hey, we're doing this. You know what I mean? And it's hard to lead a people like that, it's hard to be a leader and a father and a husband. Like those things, I guess I would say it's hard for me because I didn't see it a lot. You know what I mean? And so
you're creating something from scratch, something that you have to create. And in that creation process, there's like, this works, this doesn't work. Too much, too much yellow. Yeah. Put a little more green in there,
Yeah, but on display as well, because we're filming it in front of the world. So that's another different thing that was happening.
Yeah.